Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk Radio studios at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest impacting our community in a positive way. Today, I welcome nearly 21-year pancreatic cancer survivor Roberta Luna. Her 21-year survival anniversary is April 1st. She hosts the OC Talk radio show Living Hope, which can be heard live on octalkradio.net Thursdays at 11 in the morning and seen on OC Talk Radio's YouTube channel. She's also an organizer of the PanCan Purple Stride Orange County Walk to End Pancreatic Cancer on Saturday, April 29th at Angel Stadium, Anaheim. Thank you, Roberta, for being on Impact OC.
Hi, Don. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it. It's almost like this is a yearly thing we do every year, so I really appreciate being able to see you again and coming back. Thank you.
I love interviewing you. Roberta, you're close to being a 21-year survivor of pancreatic cancer. Again, your survival anniversary date is April 1st. Please explain your story, which for most who receive the diagnosis are usually given 3 to 6 months or at most a year to live.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not something that has a very high survival rate, though we have gone from when I was first diagnosed to 4%, which today is now 12%, which I know I should probably be very happy about, but I'm really not that satisfied with. It seems like it's taken us too long to get there, and it's just unacceptable, and we have to do much better. But for my personal story, I had actually lost my dad in 1998 to pancreatic cancer. He actually became ill, probably I would say in November of 97, and it took them quite a while to diagnose him. And he was having pains, but my dad wasn't a complainer, so we didn't know he was sick until he was really very ill. Finally, they did the diagnosis and they got pancreatic cancer. They went in to do surgery to hopefully remove it. But as they went in there, they saw that it had just really spread everywhere, and there was nothing more they could do. They came out and told us, originally they had told us the surgery would take anywhere from 8 to 12 hours. So if we wanted to go home, we could go home. But we chose to stay in the hospital and just be there with him, for support, or I guess maybe we just felt better. But it seemed like 20 minutes or so after the doctor started surgery, he came back down to talk with us, and we kind of thought, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as he thought, and got to looking at him and noticed that he wasn't looking at us. He was looking at the ground and he was walking towards us, and just told us, he goes, well, I'm sorry, it is pancreatic cancer, but it's all through your dad. There's nothing we can do. And we're like thinking, well, there must be something, surgery, something. And he just kind of said, you don't understand. It's pancreatic cancer. It's spread. It's everywhere. There's nothing else we can do. And to be honest with you, nobody survives this disease anyway. It was really hard to take because my dad just was a fighter, but he was never sick a day in his life. I don't even remember him taking an aspirin, or missing work to be sick. So to wonder, how can this man, who was always so healthy, we thought, how could this happen to him? Through the time we saw him really deteriorate. My dad was almost 6 feet tall, 175 pounds. I think when he died, he weighed maybe 72 pounds. It was horrible to watch this happen. After his death and at his service, actually, my uncle, his brother, came to me and said, that's what Grandma died from. That's what our mother died from. And at that time, I thought, well, that's 2 people dying from pancreatic cancer. I wonder if there's something I need to be concerned about. So I go to my doctor and tell him, I've lost my dad, and I found out his mother also died from pancreatic cancer. What are some signs I should watch for, or what do I need to be concerned about? And was basically told, don't worry about it, hon, you're too young and it's not hereditary. So in all honesty, I don't think I ever gave it a second thought. And before my dad's diagnosis, I didn't really think about pancreatic cancer either until I'd heard Michael Landon, announce that he had pancreatic cancer. And I remember Googling it and seeing that the survival rate wasn't very good. And when they diagnosed my dad, I remember Googling again and thinking, wow, a lot hasn't changed very much in these years since Michael Landon was diagnosed. After my dad's death, I think it was probably 2001, my uncle, his baby brother, became ill. And I became ill around the same time in October. But again, not knowing what to watch for and what to do, we just kind of, well, maybe it's the flu, maybe it's this, we'll just wait and see what happens with it. And my uncle calls me one day and says, hey, Squirt, it's pancreatic cancer. And they're telling me I have 3 to 6 months to live. And again, to be told, they said the same thing with my dad: go home, put his affairs in order. My uncle: go home, put his affairs in order. Those are hard words to swallow when you think, isn't there anything at all that we can do in this day and time? So after his death, I went to my doctor and said, I'm still not feeling well. I just lost a third member to pancreatic cancer. Do you think we need to be looking into it? Again, I was told, don't worry about it, hon. You're too young and it's not hereditary. When he told me to kind of, let's just wait and see, I think that angered me. And I thought, no, we're not going to wait and see. I watched my dad deteriorate. I watched my uncle deteriorate. I don't want my family to see the same thing happen. If there's something maybe we can do with early diagnosis. So I sat down and I just took out my checkbook and signed it and gave it to him and said, I don't know what the issue is, but if it's cost, here we need to get going with it. I think he just wanted to humor me because he didn't really think there was anything to find. Though he knew, I wasn't a hypochondriac. I don't complain about not feeling well. So the tests were ordered. Come back here. He called me to come back in his office April 1st. I saw him walking into the room, the same thing. He's looking at the floor. So I knew when he was approaching me that what he was going to tell me. He did. He sat down, took my hand, said, I'm sorry. You already know it's pancreatic cancer. And as you know, no one survives this illness because you've lost, 3 family members to it. But let's go ahead and start some chemotherapy. Maybe we can give you some good months ahead. So we started right away, but I remember, when they're telling you this, even though you kind of expect it, it's just like you're just hearing, like, on the Charlie Brown cartoon, the doctor, when the teacher talks, it's like blah, blah, blah. You don't really hear, you don't really understand what they're saying. But when I got to the car, I turned on the radio, and Bob Marley saying, don't worry about a thing. Every little thing's going to be all right. Okay, to me, he was singing that to me. I know he wasn't, but in theory, he was. And at that moment, I decided, you know what? You're right. Everything's going to be all right. We're going to do whatever we can, and we're going to fight this. Took it back to my family, and they totally agreed 100%. We're going to fight it all the way. Started chemotherapy, and during my treatment, my mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2008, and we lost her in 2013.
What is pancreatic cancer?
It's a bitch. Sorry. I forget sometimes. Pancreatic cancer is like any other cancer. It's when the cells multiply and they just grow to the point to where it comes into a tumor. But the problem with the pancreatic cancer is because of where your pancreas sits, where it's located, it's behind the stomach, more towards the spine or your back. So it's not like you can't lay on a table usually and they're not going to feel the lump unless it's really large. And the symptoms are so vague because it can be anything gastro. I mean, it's nausea, diarrhea, constipation, pain, no pain, itching. There's so many different symptoms that really the doctors, in all honesty, don't really know what to do with it in the beginning. But I think if they would look at pancreatic cancer first, because by the time they get that diagnosis, go there, look at it first, and then trust for everything else if it comes back negative. If everything else comes back negative, go back and look, and I can almost guarantee you'll find it in the pancreas.
Are you technically in remission?
No, my doctors haven't used the word remission because I still have my tumor. My tumor is inoperable because of the location. The main artery and vein runs through the tumor, making it right now difficult or almost impossible to go in and safely remove. But for whatever reason, in 2018, it became dormant. And I give a lot to not only the traditional treatment I was doing, but I also added some holistic treatment to my plan as well. And I don't know, the two of them together for me anyway, that's it. But also I just feel whatever reason, it's not the doctor who's going to decide that I'm going to die. It'll be God who'll decide when my time is up. And for whatever reason, he's not ready for me to go. And I'm in no hurry either. So, it's just...
Either am I.
Well, thank you. I know
a
few people who might dance at my funeral, but that's okay too. So, but it's just something we really need to bring to the forefront and not just kind of ignore the symptoms. And now they're even seeing it could be long set of diabetes, could be an early sign of it as well. So all these things need to be considered and looked at. And yes, don't rule anything out, but let's look at the pancreas first and see if we see anything. And if we don't, go ahead and test for everything else and then come back and look again. And I've heard from so many people who that's happened to that they found it the second time around.
What are the causes?
Oh, if they knew the exact cause, it would be great. But it's like every other cancer they tell you, the processed food that you eat, the red meat, like I said, early sign of diabetes, smoking, alcohol, obesity, They say for pancreatic cancer, 60 and older, but to be honest with you, I've seen it in so many younger people that I don't even like to use that statistic, because for me, I've seen it in much younger people. And I don't know the reason, but African Americans also have a high rate of pancreatic cancer as well.
Why did you choose to turn your predicament into action to end the disease? Thus, the PanCan Purple Stride Orange County Walk to End Pancreatic Cancers on Saturday, April 29th at Angels Stadium of Anaheim.
My mom and dad, I think, raised me that, for one, you don't complain about what you're going through because there's always somebody else out there that has it worse than you. But if there's something you can do to help, you don't just sit there and do nothing. You get up and you help. You do whatever it is you can. And I don't want my mom and dad or anybody's who's died from pancreatic cancer, I don't want their death to be in vain. And if we don't do anything at all, it feels like they weren't worth anything. And I don't want that to happen. I want other families to know, yes, you feel alone, but you're not alone. There's many of us out there, and we want to be there for you and help you through this as much as we can.
So this event is on Saturday, April 29th, like I said, at Angel Stadium of Anaheim. It's among 60 events across the country. So share with us what's going to happen in Anaheim.
In Anaheim, we're going to have a great time. We're going to be in the front of the stadium this year. Last year we were in the back, which was great. It was still awesome. But we're going to be closer to the red hats, which everybody is really familiar with. We're going to have our survivor area will be under one of the red hats. So that whole area will belong to our survivors. They'll have their own little goodie bags and swag bags and refreshments. We have entertainment. We have Chapman University, who's been with us since our first Purple Stride, which now this is our 15th Purple Stride. Chapman University, under the direction of Dr. Melissa Goldsberg, will be with us. I'm sorry, Goldsmith will be with us, and she'll bring her students out. They come out every year. They do our Purple Play Zone, which they do either experiments for the kids, fun, safe experiments to show them different things with science, and just have a good time. We have face painting. We have the character guys coming out to do that. I said that right,
The
too.
people who walk get to be on the Jumbotron, right?
Yes, we have what we call our Path of Heroes, and that is you submit a photo and just a short little verbiage on what you want to say, and they are on the Jumbotron on the scoreboard inside Angel Stadium, and it's really cool because you start the walk outside, but then you get to walk around the bases, and it's just really, it's a really neat experience. And I'm not the biggest baseball fan, but that meant a lot to me to be on that field, because really, who gets to do that? Who gets to go and walk on the field? But as you're walking, you see all these people that are up there, and most of them are people that we've lost, but there are a few survivors as well. And it's just amazing to see those stories and those faces, and put a face to this disease, because we're not statistics. We're people. We're real people, and we have a face, and we need people to see that and to take this disease serious and get up off your rear and do something about it.
How far is the walk? I know they're walking around, but do you know the mileage? Or
I think it ends up to be, well, if you do what I've been told, if you do it twice, then you'll make your 5K. But I think most people really just do it once, because they take their time once they get to around the bases to where the Jumbotron is with the photos, because everybody stops, even if it's not your loved one up there, everybody stops and looks at it and takes a picture or has some comment or something to say about it. So it's really a great event.
And it's a sea of purple. Thus, you and I are wearing purple. I know you can't.
Yes.
Those listening on the podcast can't see us, but we are wearing purple.
Yes, we are purple. Purple is the awareness color for pancreatic cancer. It's a deep purple. It's a really pretty purple. But it brings out the question. When somebody sees me wearing it, they'll say, oh, purple must be your favorite color. And I actually tell them, no, it's not, but let me tell you why I wear it. And then I get to tell them about pancreatic cancer and how much we really need the support and people to come out, support us, volunteer if you want to volunteer. We always need volunteers, and great to have them.
The event hours are?
The village will open at 7:30, and then I believe opening ceremonies will start at 8:30. The walk should start around 9:30, and we plan on concluding around 11:30, but we also will have a tailgating area, so those who want to come and tailgate afterwards and before and during, then we'll have a section for them as well.
And it is a fundraiser.
It is a fundraiser, and also to bring awareness. Registration is free, but if you raise at least $50, you are guaranteed a t-shirt, and you will pick that up on event day. So we would love people to come out, and the website is purplestride.org/OC. They can come out. Like I said, registration is free, and if you raise $50, you will get a purple t-shirt.
And the money raised, what does that go towards?
The money raised goes for research and also for patient resources. We have a great patient resource service at PanCan, and it's free. So they can get information about clinical trials. They can get printed information about diet, different information about pancreatic cancer. Everything offered is free to the patients and to their families. So it's a really great service, but the funding does go for advanced research that we need in the patient services.
And you've seen how it's made an impact?
Yes, it has. I mean, through, like I said, just looking at the survival rate from 4% to 12% has made a great impact. And, there's so many other wonderful nonprofit organizations out there that are doing wonderful work to get the survival rate up. But it's really important. And again, if I can encourage anybody and everybody to come out to Angel Stadium on April 29th, it's a great event. I know maybe it sounds kind of odd, but it's a family. We all
It's
come
spirited.
together.
I've
Yeah.
been there. I went to it last year. It's very spirited to walk around Angel Stadium and see everybody. We're all here for a good cause. There's a lot of smiles.
It is, because we get to, for one, see people we haven't seen in a long time, but also offer hope and inspiration, hopefully, to those survivors that are coming and to their caregivers. Our caregivers are very, very important. Without them, I don't think a lot of us would survive. So we also make a big deal out of them. We treat them like royalty, and that's another reason to have the purple color, right? Royalty is purple. So.
And April 1st will be your 21st anniversary of surviving. And then on April 8th, you're jumping out of an airplane again. So first, share with us what you plan on doing on April 1st, your 21-year anniversary date, and then share with us what's going to happen on April 8th, jumping out of an airplane.
Well, I haven't planned April 1st yet. I don't know. We'll have to see what it brings. We've been so dedicated to actually doing, working on Purple Stride and then the jump. So those have been the two priorities right now. April 1st will probably as we get closer. But yeah, we'll be jumping again. It'll be my 10th time jumping, but I'll be celebrating 21 years. I have a lot of new people who've never jumped before who'll be joining me, and then a couple that have jumped before will be there as well. So, Vic has jumped with me in the past.
Vic is her husband.
Yes, thank you. Vic is my husband, my better half. That has jumped with me a number of times. I've had my son Nathaniel has jumped with me a couple of times, and he says he's done. I showed him up enough, so he's done jumping. But we have a lot of people who will be jumping for the first time, and that's our thing, is we always want to encourage and bring a first-time jumper as well as a first-time survivor. So, and we also have a big crowd that comes out. You're not forced to jump, but we also welcome anybody to come out and just watch us crazies.
Where
that
do you
it.
do this?
We do it at Paris, California.
And you jump connected to somebody.
Yes, I jump tandem. I've been told I can't jump
Tandem.
by myself because
Yeah.
I don't pay enough attention to what I should be doing. So I promise I will stay tied to somebody at least for quite a while.
And you host the Living Hope podcast on Thursdays at 11 in the morning on OC Talk Radio, and then people could see it on OC Talk Radio's YouTube channel. Talk to us about your podcast.
Yeah, and I have to give a big shout out to you. It all happened it started with you, and then with Paul taking the initiative as well to go through with it. It's something, Living Hope, Your Journey with Pancreatic Cancer. We talk to survivors, to caregivers. And we've had a researcher on. We'll be having more researchers on, more doctors, different aspects of dealing with it. We've done estate planning. I want to just give everybody a positive resource, a resource to know what's out there, and that, you're not alone. You don't have to be alone, and your stories are important, and we want to share them. Even those stories don't end the way we want them to, with somebody surviving a long time, but still their story is very important. And one story I can take away is when I had the wife of a gentleman who had done a clinical trial, and she was sitting here talking about the clinical trial, and I realized that was a drug that helped me immensely. And I actually kind of lost it a little bit on the show because I had never met somebody that had taken actually the clinical trial of the drug I had been taking. But Living Hope I hope is to give people inspiration, hope, and positive resources, and know that they can reach out to us, and that we'll be there to help them any way we can.
What has pancreatic cancer taught you?
Oh, wow. I don't know, to be more forgiving, more open, try everything, live life to the fullest, never say no, never say give up. There's so much I can keep going on. It's been quite a lesson. I've had people tell me, well, I bet you wish you never got pancreatic cancer. And to be quite honest, and I know this really sounds weird, getting pancreatic cancer was probably the best thing that ever happened to me in my life, because it has brought me so many wonderful people that I never would have met, so many friendships that never would have taken place without that. And I know, like I said, it's maybe people think I'm crazy saying that, but I can't change what happened. I wish I could with my family, but myself, I can't. And it's brought too many wonderful people. You being one of them who's followed me every year to make sure I'm still here.
Yes, I do.
But it really has. It's brought too many. It was so many wonderful friendships into my life and my family's life. I mean, we have a whole new family, and it stretches all over from Europe to here to all different states. So it's been really an amazing journey for myself personally.
When you wake up in the morning, do you think that you have pancreatic cancer, or do you just kind of like live your life and then sometimes it crops into your mind that, oh yeah, I'm living with this disease?
Generally now, I think I just get up and just be thankful. But generally, unless I'm having an issue that particular day, I don't think about it anymore. And sometimes I even do forget when I'm talking to somebody. Oh yeah, I'm a survivor. I need to let them know that. But generally, it's not something I think about anymore.
What are some of the misconceptions about pancreatic cancer?
That everybody dies. I mean, that's what you hear when anybody says anything. It's like a death sentence. When I tell somebody I have it, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm sorry to hear that." Well, don't be sorry. I mean, I'm still here. So I think the biggest misconception is everybody dies from the disease.
Well, when someone is told they have pancreatic cancer, when they tell someone else, how should they react?
There's no wrong way to react. However you want to react. If you want to cry, you want to scream, you want to punch something, just don't be another person maybe, but find something, you want to break a dish. Whatever way you want to react is the right way for you. But the first thing after that reaction I would do is get on the phone, get on a website, but don't go to any website. Go to like maybe pancan.org for one, or Hirschberg, Let's Win. There's many nonprofits out there that have great information. Go there. Don't just Google pancreatic cancer. That's the biggest mistake.
Talk about the organization PanCan.
PanCan actually I became part of that even before it was PanCan. I met Pamela Acosta Marquardt on a John Hopkins website trying to find information because that was when my dad was diagnosed and there was nothing out there. And then from there connected after it was a few years later when my own diagnosis, and connected with them. And Vic and I, my husband, have been volunteers since 2008, and it's been, I think, one of the most refreshing things we've been able to do is to be out there and talk to other people and let them know that there is hope and not to give up, that there is hope out there.
What are some of the programs they offer?
They have something. My favorite thing they have, of course, is what they call their patient services, and that's where a patient or family member can call in, go online, get information about pancreatic cancer, find out about clinical trials. Clinical trials are very important. We really need to have people do more of those because that's the only way we can get the drugs for our treatment. So to me, patient service is really important. But we also do events to bring awareness. One of my favorites is called Purple Light, which we do in November. That's to kick off November Awareness Month for pancreatic cancer. And it's a way to honor and remember those that we've lost and those that are fighting the disease. And we do it at a beautiful park in Irvine usually. And it's done with the glow sticks. We break them when we read names. So it's kind of a somber experience, but at the same time, it's a way to honor and remember those. And then the Purple Stride, which is a little bit more of a celebratory event where everybody is in a little bit more of a happy mood. And even those that have lost somebody, they come out and share their stories of what they've been through with the journey. And it's just, for them to connect with others who have also been through it as well, and just to come out and have a lot of fun.
Do you believe there will be an end to pancreatic cancer?
I wish, but I think my thought is that if we can just get it, like, people years ago died of AIDS. Well, no, AIDS is something you can live with. If it's just something that we can live with, I don't know that at any time, obviously in my lifetime or my children's, I would hope that we could, get rid of all cancers. It just, in all honesty, I don't see that. But if we could at least just get early detection, I think that would help with more survival rate, and just something so that patients can live with it like you live with so many other diseases.
What are some of the symptoms?
The symptoms are so vague, but it can be nausea, it can be diarrhea, it can be constipation, it can be pain in the stomach area, it can also be pain in the back. And a lot of times the pain in the back is people think it's a pulled muscle because of where the pancreas lays. It lays towards your back area, so people will think that. Itching, diabetes. So those are some of the early symptoms that, unfortunately, like I said, it can be so many different things that I don't think they look at pancreatic cancer first off.
Are there drugs to control it?
Not so much control it, but our treatments are they use chemotherapy or radiation. Some are eligible for surgery, but I think that's a small percentage. That depends. Surgery depends on where the tumor is located. Like in my instance, it's just right now it's not an option because of that. But a lot of patients have been able to get their tumor away from the artery, so they've been able to go in and operate. So, but I think most of us go through either chemo, radiation combination.
How are you diagnosed?
I wish there was an easy test, and there's not. It's, they do blood work, ultrasound, and then the last thing is usually they do the camera that goes down through your throat into the pancreas. They either take the biopsy that way, they can do a surgical biopsy, or they can do a needle biopsy. Every procedure is invasive. It's not like just going and, possibly getting the PSA like for prostate cancer. There's nothing like that right now yet.
Aren't you amazed that you've been able to keep going year after year after year?
Yeah, but I think a little bit I'm a little stubborn on the stubborn side, so that's part of it. But also, I get a great deal of inspiration, not only from the survivors and their families, but even those people that we've lost. I gain something from them. So to me, maybe that's why I want to share their story as well. I get something from them, and I don't want to forget them. I don't want them to get forgotten. So, they're my inspiration, and I do have a shirt that we wear for a lot of events, or especially when I skydive, that has over 200 names on it, and those are people that have inspired me in some way during this journey.
Thank you, nearly 21-year pancreatic cancer survivor Roberta Luna, for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.
You've been listening to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping our community. Right here on Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio.